Hey guys, so today I figured I'd give you a little figure drawing tutorial. I know that for a lot of people first starting out in drawing people can be one of the hardest challenges to overcome. So I wanted to see if I could help you guys out. Personally, I started really learning how to draw people the right way back in high school. I used a little wooden figure like this one here to figure out how to get the proportions and the positioning of the person just right, and I still use this thing to this day. Along the way, I also figured out how to use basic stick figures to help draw poses, especially if the person is in the middle of some kind of action. So let me show you my personal process for figuring out how to draw a figure. So let's start basic. I know a lot of you out there drew a stick figure at least once in your life, especially back in elementary school. So let's start right out with what's familiar. Personally, I always start out with the head. Even though I end up erasing it about a million times after I've drawn the body, it helps me kind of get my bearings with where I want the rest of the body to go. Then, I just use a small line for the neck. After that, you want to draw the shoulders. Depending on the shape of the body you're drawing and how realistic or cartoony you want it, you can make them wider, but typically you want to keep them at least slightly larger than the head. Then you just draw on the torso, which for now will just be one straight line. Next, work on the hips. These typically should be wider than the shoulders, but you can again vary it depending on the type of body you're drawing. Now for each leg, you want to make two separate straight lines, angled depending on how you would like the knee bent. Keep the knee towards the middle if you want it to look more natural, and then just add the foot at the end, angled depending on how the person is standing. Finally, you have the arms. Follow the same kind of idea with two separate straight lines, meeting in the middle so that you can get a bent elbow. Now let's move on to filling out the figure. So this is where the wooden figure I told you about earlier might come in handy. You don't even need to buy one if you don't have the money. Just Google pictures of it in different positions for good practice. So we'll start off with the circular joints. Just draw little circles for these different parts I'm showing you. Most of them are for the joints of the body, such as the shoulders, elbows, and knees. Vary the sizes depending on the part of the body you're drawing. Larger joints, such as the shoulders, hips, and knees, should have bigger circles, and smaller joints, like the wrists and ankles, should have smaller circles. Now you see right here that I'm making an oval. That's to show the hip and abdomen portion of the body. It helps to draw this out to get an overall body shape when you're trying to map the movement of the legs and the hips in comparison to the torso. Then draw on the hips, which are basically a trapezoid with a larger circle on either side. After drawing all the joints, you can move on to the spaces in between them. When you're just starting out, you can fill in each space with a rectangle, but I prefer to use two lines to connect to each joint that curve outward or inward depending on how I want the person to look. For instance, when I draw the calves here on the left leg, I'll curve the left line in to give it more of a bent look, and then curve out the right line, with the widest part more towards the torso, giving the calf a bit more of a realistic shape. For the feet, just draw two lines sticking out, angled outward if the foot is coming towards you for perspective, and connect them with a curved line at the end. Otherwise, you can also just draw a rectangle here again, just to get the basic shape. For the upper torso, draw another oval like we did for the abdomen so that you can give it a curved shape where the pectoral muscles would go. Then just follow the oval's curves and branch off, drawing a line curved inward on either side so it appears like a waist, connecting them to the oval for the abs. After that, just finish drawing the arms and add half-pointed ovals for the hands. Ta-da! So now, let's try moving the figure around a bit. Let's try a simple wave with the other hands in the person's pocket. All that really involves is moving and bending around the arms a little bit. So again, start with the head and make a simple stick figure. You can bend the legs a little bit and can angle the feet to give the person a more relaxed, natural look. When drawing the right arm, give the lines a bit more of a bend and draw the lower line all the way down so that it connects with the thigh, giving the impression that it went into something, in this case a pocket. For the other arm, draw the upper arm so that it's angled away from the body. You can adjust the angle so that the arm appears either more relaxed or more uptight and rigid. Then just draw a second line angled upwards, just a little bit above the shoulder line. Next, start drawing the circular joints again like we did before, varying the size depending on the part of the body that you're drawing. Leave that wrist joint of that right arm a little bit away from the thigh so that the hand looks like it's bending into the pocket. Then you can just draw on those oval again for the torso and connect them with the curving lines. Then just draw out your trapezoid hips with the circles on either side and move on to the legs. You can draw out the curved calves again so that it plays off the bending of the legs. Then angle the line of the feet depending on the perspective and where you put the lines. Then just finish off drawing the arms. Leave a little bit of hand coming out of that right pocket so that it looks like it's partially hidden, and then just finish off the rest of the arm. For the waving hand, you can draw it like you did with the foot in that sort of angled fan style, just to get its general shape and position down, since this is just a primary sketch. Okay, finally, let's move on to something a little bit more complicated. I used to have a bit of trouble drawing people running because it involves drawing the figure in profile most of the time, but once you get the hang of it, it gets easier to figure out. So again, let's start with a circle for the head and try and work out the stick figure. First, you can bend the neck so that it appears as though the whole body is bending. For this drawing, let's bend it to the left. Next, do the same for the torso line, but make it a little bit more steep so that it looks as though the head is projecting outward to the front. Now for the shoulders, make a very steep line bent to the left, but just slightly. It might look really weird at first, but this is important to give the illusion that one arm is out in the front while the other is moving behind the body. Then do the same for the hip, keeping it at about the same angle as the shoulders. Okay, so for this drawing, the leg that's in front will be bending upward to give the illusion of movement. We want the legs doing different things so that it looks like the person is in mid-stride. For this, take the thigh and bend it down and to the left, starting the line from the bottom end of the hip line. Then take the calf and bend it up and to the left. It's just taking the original leg drawing and switching around the angles a little bit. Then bend the foot down and to the left again. For the other leg, start from the top end of the hip line and draw it less severely bent. First draw a steep thigh line angled down and to the right, and then draw a second steep line going down and to the left. For the foot, angle the top part down and to the right, and then draw the bottom part completely flat so that it looks like the person is pushing off the balls of their feet. You pretty much follow the same process when drawing the arms. For the front arm here, I'm going to extend it forward or to the right of the drawing. Make the upper arm angled to the bottom right and the lower arm on a less steep angle down and to the right again. For the back arm, we're going to extend it behind the person, so start from the top of the shoulder line and draw the upper arm outwards to the left, angle down and to the left. Then draw the lower arm on a steeper angle down and to the left again. See, the stick figure really helps here because it gets the positioning of all the parts of the body before we've even started drawing the figure. So, start off with the joint circles again, same as usual. For perspective on the shoulders and the hips, the front circle should always be larger than the back circle so that it looks like it's coming forward in space. The same goes for all other circles on the corresponding limb. The hips are going to be a little bit tricky, and this is where looking at a wooden figure can really help you. Instead of a flat trapezoid, we're going to draw a sort of lopsided rectangle. Draw the line on the top side of the rectangle a bit steeper than its bottom side. Then for added effect, I just draw a curved line following the angle of the top side, but in the front, so that it looks like a 3D shape. Then just add in the hip circles accordingly on the bottom and top ends of the original hip line, again making sure that the front one is larger than the back. Then for the torso, you have to kind of improvise a little bit at times. For the left line, which is for the back of the person, draw it curved inward all the way up to the shoulders. For that right line, first follow the angle of the hips at the bottom on the right side, and then curve it outward so that it looks like a squished backward C up to the neck. Then just fill out the limbs like we did before. For the calves, we can make the outward bend come out a little bit further, and then pull the other side a little bit more inward so that the legs look completely profile. For the foot in the air, draw an upside down semicircle. And then for the foot on the ground, first draw 2 straight angled lines like we did before, and then draw a semicircle underneath them for the ball of the foot. Then just fill out the arms, and then draw either circles or curved trapezoids for the fists. And there you have it. There are some figure drawing examples. If you want me to make more tutorials like these, hit the like button and comment down below. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you.